There was once a man who spent most of his life trying to fix things he could never control. He tried to make people understand him. He tried to stop people from leaving. He tried to change opinions that had already been formed about him. He worried about the future before it arrived and replayed the past long after it was gone. Every morning he woke up tired, not because his body was weak, but because his mind had been fighting battles all night. He was exhausted from carrying things that were never meant to be carried. Other people's opinions, old mistakes, broken relationships, imaginary disasters, the need to be liked, the fear of failing, and the fear of losing. One day, after another argument with someone who misunderstood him completely, he walked away from the city. He kept walking until the noise disappeared, until the voices disappeared, until there was nothing left except the sound of his own footsteps. At the top of a quiet hill stood an old man beneath an olive tree. The old man looked at him and asked, "Why do you look like someone who has been running for years?" The younger man sat down and said, "Because my life is falling apart." The old man was silent for a moment, then replied, "No, your life may be difficult, but that isn't why you're suffering. You are suffering because you are trying to control everything except the one thing that is actually yours, yourself." That day, the younger man learned 20 rules. Not rules for becoming rich overnight, not rules for making everyone respect him, and not rules for avoiding pain, but rules for becoming stronger when life refuses to become easier. The first rule was the one that changed everything. Stop trying to control what was never yours to control. The old man picked up a handful of sand and slowly opened his hand. The wind carried the sand away. The younger man watched it disappear. "You see that?" the old man asked. "Yes. Try to stop it." The younger man reached toward the air, but the sand was already gone. The old man smiled. That is how most people live. They spend their lives chasing the wind. You cannot control what people think about you. You cannot control whether someone appreciates you. You cannot control whether people stay. You cannot control every outcome. You cannot control the past. No matter how many nights you spend worrying, you cannot control tomorrow before tomorrow arrives. But you can control what you do next. You can control your words. You can control your effort. You can control whether you stand back up. You can control what you allow into your mind. The moment you understand this, life becomes lighter, because you stop wasting your strength on locked doors and start building the key to your own freedom. The younger man thought about all the years he had spent trying to change people, all the explanations, all the arguments, and all the times he had lost sleep over someone's opinion, and suddenly he understood something painful. Most of his exhaustion had been self-created. He wasn't carrying the whole world. He was simply refusing to put down what wasn't his. The old man said, "If it is outside your control, accept it. If it is within your control, act on it. But never confuse the two." That was the first rule. And then came the second. Your reactions belong to you. Guard them. The younger man had always believed that other people made him angry. He would say, "He made me lose my temper," or "They forced me to react." The old man shook his head. No one can enter your mind and pull the strings unless you hand them the strings. That sentence stayed with him, because he realized how often he had given strangers the power to control his emotions. One insult could destroy his peace. One message could ruin his entire day. One disrespectful person could turn him into someone he didn't even recognize. The old man said, "Imagine giving your house key to every stranger who walks past. Would you call that intelligence?" "Of course not," the younger man replied. "And yet you give people access to your peace every day." The next time someone insulted him, he felt the old anger rise inside him. His heart beat faster. His face became hot. Every instinct told him to answer, to attack, to win. But then he remembered the old man. Your reactions belong to you. So he remained silent for a moment, not weak, not afraid, aware. And in that small space between what happened and how he responded, he found something he had never noticed before: choice. That was his power. You do not control the first feeling. You may feel anger, fear, jealousy, or pain, but you control what happens after that feeling arrives. A fire may begin outside your house, but you decide whether you open the door and invite it inside. So pause, breathe, think. Not every emotion deserves a reaction. Not every thought deserves to become a word. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is wait until your emotions stop speaking for you. That led him to the third rule. Stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. For years, the younger man had been addicted to explaining. If someone misunderstood his decision, he explained. If someone questioned his character, he explained. If someone heard a lie about him, he explained. He believed that if he could just find the right words, everyone would finally understand. But the old man told him, a person who truly wants to know you will listen. A person who has already decided who you are will only listen long enough to find something new to attack. Not every misunderstanding is your responsibility to fix. Some people don't want the truth. They want a version of you that makes them comfortable. And when you refuse to become that version, they call you difficult, cold, arrogant, or changed. The younger man asked, "So what should I do when people lie about me?" The old man replied, "Live long enough for your actions to answer." There is a kind of peace that comes when you stop attending every argument you are invited to. You don't need to correct every rumor. You don't need to respond to every accusation. You don't need to defend your character before people who benefit from misunderstanding it. Your life is your answer. Your consistency is your answer. Your actions repeated over time will speak more clearly than your desperation ever could. And those who still refuse to see the truth, let them. Because your purpose in life is not to manage everyone's perception of you. The fourth rule came when the younger man complained about everything that had gone wrong in his life. Stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" Start asking, "What can this teach me?" The old man listened quietly. Then he said, "Pain asks one question, wisdom asks another." The younger man looked confused. "When pain arrives," the old man continued, "you ask why? Why me? Why now? Why did this happen?" But wisdom asks, "What now?" That changed him. Because the past cannot be negotiated. You can hate what happened. You can wish it never happened. You can replay it 1,000 times. And after all that, it will still be part of your story. So instead of asking only why you were betrayed, ask what the betrayal taught you. Instead of asking why you failed, ask what the failure exposed. Instead of asking why someone left, ask what their absence is forcing you to learn. Pain is not always a teacher. Sometimes pain is just pain. But you can choose to become a student anyway. The younger man began to look at his scars differently. They were no longer proof that life had defeated him. They were evidence that he had survived chapters he once believed would destroy him. And that brought him to rule number 5. Do not make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. One evening, the younger man returned to the old man furious. Someone had betrayed him. He wanted revenge. He wanted to destroy the relationship immediately. He wanted to say words he knew could never be taken back. The old man listened. Then he placed a cup of hot tea in front of him. "Drink it." The younger man touched it and pulled his hand back. "It is too hot." The old man nodded. "So wait." A few minutes passed. "Now drink it." The younger man did. The old man said, "Anger is the same. You don't have to pretend it isn't hot. Just don't drink it while it burns. When you are angry, wait. When you are heartbroken, wait. When your pride is wounded, wait. When you desperately want to send that message, wait. You do not have to solve every problem at the exact moment emotion takes control. Sometimes tomorrow sees what today cannot. The strongest people are not those who never feel deeply. They are the ones who know that feeling of visitors. They arrive, they speak loudly, and eventually, they leave. Don't let a visitor redesign your entire house. That was when the younger man began learning the 6th rule. Learn the difference between loneliness and solitude. He had always been afraid of being alone. Silence made him uncomfortable. An empty room made him restless. Without people around him, he felt as if something was missing. The old man said, "Most people fear being alone because in silence they finally meet themselves." The younger man sat beneath the olive tree without speaking. At first it was unbearable. His mind became louder. Old memories returned. Regrets appeared. Questions he had avoided for years began asking for answers. But after some time, something changed. Silence stopped feeling like punishment. It became space. Space to think. Space to understand. Space to hear himself without the entire world speaking over him. Solitude is not the same as loneliness. Loneliness says, "I have nobody." Solitude says, "For this moment, I have enough of myself." Learn to enjoy your own company. Not because you should reject people, but because when you cannot sit peacefully with yourself, you become vulnerable to anyone who offers temporary attention. You start keeping the wrong people simply to avoid empty spaces. You tolerate disrespect because silence scares you more. Never become so afraid of being alone that you accept being poorly treated. The 7th rule was harder. Expect less from people, but expect more from yourself. The younger man was always disappointed. Friends disappointed him. Family disappointed him. Partners disappointed him. The old man said, "You suffer twice. First because of what happened, then because reality refused to become the version you expected." People are human. They have fears, weaknesses, selfish moments, and contradictions. Do not build your peace on the assumption that everyone will behave according to your standards. Appreciate good people. Trust carefully. Love honestly. But stop being shocked when human beings act like human beings. Instead, hold yourself accountable. Keep your word. Control your behavior. Become someone you can respect when nobody is watching. The more responsibility you take for your own life, the less power disappointment has over you. That was Rule 8. Discipline will carry you when motivation disappears. The younger man wanted to improve his life. He wanted to become stronger, smarter, and more focused, but he waited for motivation. Every morning he told himself, "Tomorrow I will begin." Tomorrow became next week. Next week became next month. The old man laughed when he heard this. Do you think a farmer waits to feel inspired before watering his crops? The younger man smiled. No. Then why do you? Your life is built in ordinary moments. Not only when you feel powerful, not only when music is playing, not only when everyone supports you. Real progress begins when you do what must be done on days you don't feel like doing it. Wake up, do the work, keep the promise, train your mind, read, learn, rest when necessary, then return. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the firewood. A spark may start something, but without fuel, it disappears. The younger man began doing small things consistently. He stopped searching for the perfect day. He stopped waiting to become a different person before taking action. He understood that action was what created the different person. That led to Rule 9. Your habits are quietly becoming your future. Every day feels small while you are living it. 1 hour wasted doesn't seem important. One unhealthy decision doesn't seem important. One excuse doesn't seem important. But a life is rarely destroyed in one dramatic moment. It is often shaped by small repeated choices. The old man said, "A river does not carve stone in one day. What you repeat becomes familiar. What becomes familiar becomes easier. What becomes easier becomes part of your identity. If you repeatedly avoid difficult things, eventually you become someone who avoids difficulty. If you repeatedly keep promises to yourself, eventually you become someone who trusts himself. Pay attention to your ordinary days. Your future is hiding inside them." The 10th rule came after the younger man failed at something important. He felt ashamed. He wanted to disappear. Rule number 10. Failure is information, not identity. The old man asked him, "What happened?" "I failed." "That is what happened," the old man said. "It is not who you are." There is a difference between saying, "I failed," and saying, "I am a failure." One describes an event, the other creates a prison. Do not confuse your worst moment with your identity. You made a mistake. Learn. You lost. Study why. You trusted the wrong person. Become wiser. You were rejected. Keep moving. Failure hurts because your expectations meet reality. But failure can also reveal what success was hiding. Your weaknesses, your blind spots, your preparation, and your character. If you have the courage to look, the younger man stood again. Not because he suddenly felt confident, but because he understood that confidence is often built after you survive what once terrified you. Then came Rule 11. Do not chase people who are comfortable losing you. This was one of the hardest lessons. The younger man had spent years chasing someone who had slowly stopped choosing him. He sent the first message, made the first call, fixed every argument, apologized even when he wasn't wrong. He kept telling himself that love meant fighting. The old man said, "Sometimes you are not fighting for love. You are fighting against someone's decision to leave." That truth hurt. You cannot force loyalty. You cannot convince someone to value what they are determined to ignore. You can communicate, you can try, you can forgive. But there comes a point where chasing becomes self-abandonment. If someone repeatedly shows you that your presence is optional to them, believe what their actions are teaching you. Don't beg for basic respect. Don't chase bare minimum effort. Don't destroy your dignity trying to prove that you are worth keeping. The right people may still disappoint you sometimes, but you should never have to constantly convince them to care. Rule 12 was about time. Stop wasting your life trying to impress people who will eventually forget you. The old man took the younger man to a cemetery. They walked between names carved into stone. Some graves were grand, some were simple. Most belonged to people the younger man had never heard of. The old man asked, "What do you think they worried about?" The younger man looked around. "Probably the same things we worry about. Being respected, looking successful, having more, being admired." The old man nodded. "And now," the younger man said nothing. "One day, people whose opinions you fear will also be gone. The people you compete with, the people you envy, the people you desperately want approval from. And you will realize how much life you sacrificed to an audience that was never watching as closely as you imagined. Live well. Build something meaningful. Be kind. Become capable. But do not turn your entire existence into a performance." The 13th rule followed. Protect your attention like you protect your money. The old man said, "Whatever controls your attention is slowly controlling your life." The younger man thought about it. Every argument stole his attention. Every notification, every rumor, every meaningless comparison. Hours disappeared without him noticing. And attention is something you never get back. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. Where your energy goes, your life begins to move. So ask yourself, what deserves your mind? Does this argument matter? Will this person matter in 5 years? Will this problem matter next month? Is this information helping you become wiser or simply making you more anxious? Not everything deserves access to your mind. You cannot stop every distraction from existing, but you can stop treating every distraction as important. Rule 14 was perhaps the most uncomfortable. Tell yourself the truth, especially when it hurts. The younger man was good at blaming. If he failed, someone else had made it difficult. If he was unhappy, someone else had disappointed him. If he hadn't started, conditions weren't right. The old man said, "The easiest lie to believe is the one that protects your pride." Growth begins where excuses end. Sometimes you are not stuck because life is unfair. Sometimes you are stuck because you keep avoiding the difficult truth. You are not improving because you are inconsistent. You are exhausted because you say yes to everything. You are unhappy because you keep returning to what hurts you. You are afraid because you refuse to take the first step. Truth may hurt your ego, but lies destroy your future. Be honest enough to look at yourself, not with hatred, not with cruelty, with clarity. You cannot fix what you refuse to admit. That was Rule 15. Become comfortable with being disliked. The younger man struggled with this. He wanted everyone to think well of him. So he changed depending on who was in the room. He agreed when he disagreed. He laughed when something wasn't funny. He said yes when he wanted to say no. The old man asked, "How many versions of yourself are you willing to create just to avoid someone's disappointment?" The younger man had no answer. You cannot be honest and be universally liked. Eventually, your values will disappoint someone. Your boundaries will upset someone. Your growth will make someone uncomfortable. Your silence will offend someone who was used to controlling your reactions. Let it. You are not here to become a product designed for public approval. Be respectful. Be fair, but don't betray yourself to make other people comfortable. The people who only like you when you are easy to control do not actually like you. They like their access to you. The 16th rule was about the present. Don't miss your life while waiting for a better one. The younger man always had another destination. When I get more money, I'll relax. When I become successful, I'll be happy. When I find the right person, life will begin. When this problem disappears, I'll finally enjoy myself. The old man smiled sadly. You keep postponing your own existence. There is nothing wrong with ambition. Build, improve, dream, but do not sacrifice every present moment to a future version of yourself that may never arrive exactly as imagined. One day you will look back and realize that what you called ordinary was actually your life. The conversations, the mornings, the people you loved, the meals, the walks, the quiet moments you rushed through because you were waiting for something bigger. Be where your feet are. The future deserves preparation, but the present deserves your presence. Then came Rule 17. Practice gratitude without becoming complacent. The younger man believed gratitude meant settling. The old man disagreed. You can want more and still be grateful for what you have. You can improve your body without hating it. You can build wealth without pretending you are poor in spirit. You can chase a better future without insulting your present life. Gratitude does not kill ambition. It protects you from becoming someone who achieves everything and enjoys nothing. Every day, remember what is still here, your ability to think, to move, to learn, to begin again. One day, something you currently take for granted will become something you miss. Notice it while it exists. Rule 18 was about mortality. Remember that your time is limited. The younger man became quiet when the old man said this. Most people avoid thinking about death. The old man did not. Death is not only the end of life, he said. It is the reason your life matters. If you had unlimited time, you could postpone everything forever. But you don't. You will not get another childhood, another version of this exact day, another chance to be this age, another opportunity to speak to someone who may not always be here. Time is not waiting for you to become ready. So stop treating life like a rehearsal. Say what matters. Do what matters. Apologize when necessary. Leave what is destroying you. Begin the thing you keep postponing. You do not need to live in fear of death. Let the awareness of death teach you how to live. The 19th rule was the rule that changed the younger man's relationships. Choose peace over the need to win. For years, he needed the last word. Every disagreement had to end with him being understood. Every argument had to prove that he was right. The old man asked him, "How many victories have cost you your peace?" The younger man remembered. Arguments he technically won but regretted. Words that were correct but cruel. Relationships damaged because neither person was willing to let go. Being right is not always the same as being wise. Sometimes you know the truth and still choose silence. Sometimes you could continue the argument and simply walk away. Sometimes the greatest victory is refusing to become the version of yourself that conflict is trying to create. Peace is not weakness, walking away is not always surrender, and silence is not always defeat. Sometimes you are simply mature enough to know what is not worth your energy. And finally, after all the lessons, came the 20th rule. The younger man expected something complicated. The old man simply looked at him and said, "Become someone you can respect when nobody is watching." That was it. After everything, all the rules, all the pain, all the questions, it came back to character. Who are you when nobody can reward you? Who are you when nobody can praise you? Do you keep your promises to yourself? Do you act according to your values when doing the opposite would be easier? Do you treat people well when there is nothing to gain? Can you sit alone at night and respect the person you are becoming? The old man said, "A good life is not built when the world is watching. It is built in private, in the decision to wake up, in the decision to tell the truth, in the decision to control your anger, in the decision to walk away, in the decision to begin again, in the decision to keep going when nobody would blame you for quitting." That is character. And character is something nobody can give you, but nobody can take it away either. Years passed. The younger man eventually left the hill. Life did not suddenly become easy. People still misunderstood him. Some relationships still ended. He still failed. He still lost. He still felt fear. He still had difficult days. But something had changed. He no longer asked life to protect him from every storm. He had learned how to become stronger in the rain. When people judged him, he remembered what was in his control. When anger came, he protected his reaction. When someone misunderstood him, he stopped chasing their approval. Pain arrived, he asked what he could learn. When emotion burned, he waited before acting. When he was alone, he learned to enjoy his own company. When people disappointed him, he returned his attention to himself. When motivation disappeared, discipline remained. When he failed, he studied instead of surrendering. When someone walked away, he stopped abandoning himself to chase them. When the world tried to impress him with noise, he remembered how short life really was. And one day, years later, he returned to the same hill. The olive tree was still there. The wind still moved through its leaves. But the old man was gone. The younger man, now no longer young, sat beneath the tree. He looked at the empty place where the old man once sat. And for the first time, he understood the final lesson. The purpose of wisdom was never to make life painless. The purpose of wisdom was to make sure pain did not make you lose yourself. You will lose things. You will lose people. You will lose opportunities. You will make mistakes you wish you could undo. There will be days when you question everything, days when you feel behind, days when the future looks uncertain. But remember this, you do not need to control the whole world. You need to control your next choice. You do not need everyone to understand you. You need to understand yourself. You do not need to win every battle. You need to know which battles are worth fighting. You do not need to predict the future. You need to prepare yourself to meet it. And you do not need a perfect life to become a powerful person. Sometimes, the most powerful person is simply the one who has learned to remain himself when life gives him every reason to fall apart. So remember the 20 rules. Control what you can. Guard your reactions. Stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. Learn from pain. Wait before making decisions in anger. Learn to be alone. Expect less from others and more from yourself. Choose discipline over temporary motivation. Respect the power of small habits. Never confuse failure with identity. Do not chase people who are comfortable losing you. Stop living for an audience. Protect your attention. Tell yourself the truth. Accept that not everyone will like you. Stop postponing your life. Be grateful without losing ambition. Remember that time is limited. Choose peace over the need to win. And above all, become someone you can respect when nobody is watching. Because at the end of your life, the most important opinion will not belong to the crowd. It will not belong to your enemies. It will not belong to the people who judged you. It will belong to the person you became while nobody was watching, so walk forward, quietly, patiently, with discipline, with courage. Let people misunderstand you if they must. Let life challenge you. Let failure teach you. Let time remind you what matters, and every day, make one decision your future self will thank you for. You don't have to change your entire life tonight. You don't have to become perfect tomorrow. Just take back control of one thing, one reaction, one habit, 1 hour, one decision. Because a better life is not built in one extraordinary moment. It is built quietly, choice by choice, day by day, until one morning you look back and realize you became the person you were searching for all along. And if this story gave you something to think about, then remember this. The strongest vault you can ever build is not around your money, your reputation, or your success. It is inside your own mind.